In this tutorial, we're going to take a look at one more way of getting input from the user uh, using some of the classes in the Java API documentation. Specifically in this case, we are going to make use of the java.io package, and inside the java.io package there is a class called BufferedReader. We can use this class to read text from a character input stream, buffering characters so as to provide for efficient reading of characters, arrays, and lines. So this BufferedReader is unlike the scanner and the option pane. It's a little bit more standard than others, and also very technical and complicated to use. So it's a little bit more general for a lot of purposes. So that's why I want to include it in today's tutorial. As you can see in this example, we are using it to read information from a file. BufferedReader in is equals to new BufferedReader, and then we pass in a new file reader with a file name. So however, we're not going to read from a file now because that's a little bit more advanced, but we're going to do some cool stuff with BufferedReader. So let's go back to Notepad++. As you can see, I had already created a class called BufferedReader input. So I had saved it as a BufferedReader input.java, and I'm going to include the main method. So here we go, public static void main string args. So what we're going to do now is that we're going to declare BufferedReader. So we have to declare this class and instantiate it. So I'm gonna create BufferedReader. Let's call this BR to be equal to new BufferedReader. However, we need to pass in a reader as the argument to the constructor of the BufferedReader. You can see here BufferedReader requires a reader as its argument. So we can pass in an input stream reader by saying a new input stream reader, and then just like the scanner, the input stream reader is going to take system.in as its argument. Recall, system.in is the standard input stream of the command prompt. So let's ask the user to type something like the name. So I'm gonna say system.out.print. I'm gonna say please enter your name. And then I'm gonna declare a string name to hold br.next or br.readLine. Now the readLine method that we have here is a method of the BufferedReader br. So you can see that the BufferedReader has here it is, readLine, which reads a line of text and returns a string. So that's why we're using the br.readLine method here, which will return a string, and we are going to store that string in the name variable. So the next thing we're going to ask for is the age. So we're going to say system.out.print line. Please enter your age. We have to say system.out.print so that it doesn't go over to the next line. So now br.readLine, which we know returns a string, so we have to declare a string. Let's call this strage to equal to br.readLine, and then we can convert the strage to an int by saying int age equals integer dot parse int then we pass in strh. Okay, so we can now give out an output based on the input. System out dot print line. So we can say as usual name, you are, age, years old. Okay, so let's go ahead and compile this program. So we are going to compile BufferedReader input.java, and we have an error at line 5, cannot find symbol. Well, that's obvious. We have to import the BufferedReader class, and if we go over to the API documentation, you will recall that the BufferedReader is a class inside the java.io package. So we'll say import java.io.bufferedreader. So we're going to say import java.io.bufferedreader. Now, input stream reader is also a class, and it will also recognize that, so we have to import that one as well. So we'll say import java.io.input stream reader. Now there's one more thing we need to do, else this is still not going to compile. We need to state here that this method is going to throw IO exception, and IO exception is also a class, so we have to import java.io. The IO exception is a class inside the java.io package as well as the input stream reader. And you can see that I believe this is the first time I'm doing multiple importations of different classes from the same package. And there's okay, let's go ahead and compile this. I'm gonna clear the screen, then I'm gonna compile BufferedReader input, and it compiled. Now what I want to show you is that there is a shorter way of importing these three classes in one shot. So I can simply say import java.io.star. It's like saying import all the classes in the java.io package. So that will include the BufferedReader, the input stream reader, and the IO exception class as well. Let's go ahead and compile. And you can see it compiled. Now let's run the program. BufferedReader input. So enter your name, I enter my name, Jefferson. Enter your age, I enter my age. Jefferson, you are 22 years old. Simple and straightforward. So that's it with BufferedReader. You can see that we created and instantiated a BufferedReader class, and we passed it as argument an instance of the input stream reader system.in inside the argument of the input stream reader constructor. Then we spit out system.out.print to prompt the user to enter the name, and then we retrieve the name by reading the line from what was being typed on the command prompt and storing it in the name variable. We did the same thing to the age, and then we converted the age using integer to pass into a valid integer, and then we spit out the result of the input. So that's it with getting input with BufferedReader. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to check our website. I hope you found this informative, and thanks for viewing.